Hey guys, good morning. Although it's actually already not morning anymore. I spent the entire first half of this day in the studio taking care of the usual business stuff. Just wanted to start with the vlog. My lawyer called, he told me it's urgent, I should come see him in his office. So yeah, let's head there and find out what this is all about. Back at home, the meeting went way longer than I expected, so it didn't really make any sense to go to the studio and try to work on music. So I think it's just time for another edition of track submits. Didn't do one in a while. I was thinking about just doing the track submits as live streams, but I don't really have the time to live stream on top of doing the vlogs, making my music, being in the studio, and these kind of lawyer things in between. And I really absolutely, unfortunately, can't tell you anything about it, at least for the next 2-3 weeks. But if you're a regular viewer, you can kind of assume what it is about. Now let's get to the track submits. I got here like 46 submissions since the last time I did the track submit. And today I want to do something a little bit special. As you know, you guys sent me your tracks and I randomly choose a track or 3 or 5 per episode and just give my feedback. And as you know, if you ever filled out the form, you have to write how many years you're already producing, how old you are, and you can write me a little text with your problems. So today I will choose the youngest producer, the oldest producer, and the one that sent me the longest text explaining, I don't know, whatever, we will see. The youngest is by Dean Jonah, and he's producing for 1 year, is 14 years old. And he wrote in the message that he's already playing instruments for 8 years. So that's of course a big advantage if you already start with that knowledge about music theory and like melodies and chords. And his biggest problem is finding his own sound. Okay, first up, straight up impressed for just making music 1 year. This is pretty good. It's kind of big room, a little bit future based, a little bit progressive, a little bit of electronic. I really like it. It's cool. The melodies are cool. I would maybe just change like the main synthesizer sound. I think it still sounds a little cheap, like a little just too much like a preset, maybe a little bit of distortion, adding delay, more reverb. And I think overall the track is a little bit too full. I think if you reduce a couple of layers, it might have more room to breathe. And also the more room you have, I think the nicer and more polished the track sounds. This is a little bit too hectic, too much, at least for my taste. As you know, I'm a chilled guy. For someone that really wants banging party stuff, this might be even too empty and too slow. I think here the next thing to focus on would be getting a better arrangement. It's a little bit undecided. There is like a break, then like a drop, but way too short, again a break, then again a drop. I think if you try just maybe to copy a good arrangement by another artist, or at least like have it in your project, get influenced by it and have it as a reference, you will end up with an arrangement that makes more sense. Because what a lot of people forget, when you produce, you just listen to certain parts of your song, but once it's done and finished, the people listening to it, they listen to it from start to finish usually. So your song is a story, you have a storyboard, you have ups and downs. Usually the peak of the song, like 2/3 in, almost like a movie. Like you start, you introduce the characters, and then you build it up, break it down again, and then up again to make it interesting. And then you have like the final, very close to the end. And the end you just try to keep short to not like bore the people to death. And about his question, finding your own style, I already told you that in a couple of videos. It's just a matter of time. If you just make music for 1 year, you can be happy to make music like this. You can be happy if you know how a synthesizer works, how to get sounds out of it, how to use a compressor, an EQ, and worrying about the style is something that comes later. First, just make music. I think it's not bad if you just copy your favorite EDM artist to learn and to learn what they are doing. And once you get to that point where your stuff is so close that people will accuse you of just copying it, you know you learned the technical stuff, and then it's about finding your own style. You don't have to have your own style straight up from the beginning. By copying, you learn, and those people that already make those tracks, they just have like 3-4 more years like a heads up already learning all of these things. Some of them even 10 years, 20 years. Some of them are making music for so long that they were actually part of certain techniques being invented. And it's way easier to learn now. If you just start right now making electronic music, you have to catch up all of those 20, 30, 40 years of electronic music making. But before I get too philosophical and all this kind of stuff, let's just jump to the next track by the oldest person. It says 55. It's by a project or a guy called Moore. So I actually don't know if it's the real age. I mean, you can fill out these forms in any way you want. It says 3 years already making music. He says, "Hi John, hi, loves the channel. Thank you." He produces usually tech house and minimal. And this is like his first track after like partying in LA where he tried out something different. And he's also asking about like styles. Should an artist stay in his style or just move on, try out different things? I actually made an entire vlog about it just a couple of days ago. I will link it up here if you're interested, check it out. But now let's actually get to his track that is called Life Is. Okay, I straight up love the build up. It's a really good build up. I loved yeah, it's not really a bass, it's like a low synthy but not really bassy, and that is already where I like hear the first problem of the track. It's lacking of sub frequencies, like those stabs are really cool. I love this kind of style. It reminds me of older tool room stuff by Mark Knight. Really cool, really nice and clubby. It's not like too poppy, too much in your face, but also not too undergroundish, something you could really dance nicely to. But it's missing those frequencies that you just love hearing in the club. Like the kick is missing a little bit of a low end, so maybe just trying out a different kick. And I would just layer those stab kind of sounds with a bass, a low bass, a sine wave bass, or just like a gritty, distorted, square wave bass. And you're pretty much there with this track. But it's really cool, and I like the style. Yeah, it's actually not the chord steps. The chord steps, they're also missing a little bit of the like low mid kind of part, but it's the bass line. The bass line is too high. It actually has a nice cool sound, so leave it and just layer underneath either the same bass, just an octave lower, and try to EQ them so they sound like one, or you could just layer it with like a sine sub. And get like a really nice fat low end. Next up is the person that wrote the longest text. It's from Pure Water. He made a track called Beautiful Moment. He's asking me how I like the track, how I like the build-up of the track. He's asking me if I have tips and tricks how to get closer to a real sounding, organic kind of sound. And he wants to make different versions out of it, deep house or some other electronic dance kind of genres. Did I pronounce it again wrong? I don't know. I can't pronounce it in German. I can't pronounce it in English. So maybe I will just replace it with a style from now on. And yeah, the rest is just a bunch of nice stuff. Thanks a lot. Okay, it's like a full piano instrumental, just piano. And I'm not a specialist in this kind of music, so There's obviously nothing you really have to worry about when it comes to mixing. And I think if you just make just the piano, there's really no way getting around recording a real piano in a real concert hall. I mean, yes, you could make it with like the native instrument Condor thing or with any other piano plugin, and they got really good. But if it's just a piano, I think someone that really knows how a piano should sound like will immediately hear that it's not a real one. And the melody is nice. I don't know, it could maybe change more, because if you just have the piano, then the piano has to change, otherwise nothing else is changing, because there is nothing else. Yeah, but as I said, I'm not a specialist. This is like more like classical music, or maybe just a melodic idea for a dance track. I really don't know, can't say a whole lot about it, just not my kind of music. But if you guys have any suggestions for Pure Water or for anyone else that was featured in today's Track Submit edition, let me know down below in the comments. I'm pretty sure they are happy to get even more feedback by other producers. That's one of the things I love so much about the channel. It's a community, everyone helping everyone to just advance, except for some haters, but we are just dabbing on them. And yeah, that's pretty much already it for today's episode. I'm sorry if it's a little short, but yeah, spent the entire day at the lawyer. That's just sometimes how it is. That's like real life. That's what you have to take care of. When you're making music, you're self-employed, and if people don't want to pay you, you sometimes really just have to go the way of taking a lawyer and trying to get it in court. By the way, if you're interested, you can still enter the Jon Sine Team app through my Patreon account for just $1, or you can just enable notifications, subscribe, and leave a comment with Notification Squad. I will pick like 1 to 3 persons per day per video. And the app is like a bunch of music producers giving each other tips, tricks, and also feedback for the tracks. So if you're interested in feedback, that's probably the best place. And I will keep this app private as much as I can. I want to make sure that only people enter it and participate that really care about it. So far, everyone in there is really nice to each other. Really everyone. I've never read anything that was like hate or even really negative. So I want to keep it this way as much as I can. Yeah, tomorrow, really back to the studio making music. No matter what happens, I will go to the studio, make music. Maybe another tutorial, and yeah, don't forget to tune in. We will see us tomorrow again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Sign out.